everybody, and welcome to the Bob Stoops app. I'm Brad McMullen, along with Hall of Fame football coach Bob Stoops. Game day is in town. It's the national game of the week. It's the first SEC conference game featuring the Oklahoma Sooners and the Tennessee Volunteers. Coach Stoops, your thought on OU this week?
Yeah, a huge game just to start our SEC career. You know, that's really exciting. Playing a really good football team that's playing great in Tennessee, coached by Josh Heupel, and Joey Halsey, a guy that played for us here too at quarterback, is their offensive coordinator. So it's a big game. You know, I know our fans will be amped up for it, and looking forward to it. You know, the big keys to me, we got to be great against their run game. Any of the games they lost a year ago, people held them down to less than 135, 40 yards, and that's a big deal. And to get them some 3 and out, get them off rhythm a little bit if you can. Come up with a lost yardage play, limit the run game, put them in predictable situations, and then come up with plays. And another part I think that people don't talk enough about is I think the offense really needs to stay on the field and cool them off and have some good sustained drives. That limits their offensive opportunities. So I think that's a big deal too.
Yeah, and you talked about this over and over again in 2008 with the Texas Tech game. Make the crowd a factor. A lot of people online have said OU's an easy place to play. The fans are not involved. It's a social gathering and not a football atmosphere. How big will that be on game night Saturday?
Well, I'm glad you said all that. You're taunting our fans now.
Oh, I'm taunting.
But really, it makes a difference. I think last time we played at Tennessee, they set a record for crowd noise. That's how loud it was there. So we've got to, match it. It makes a difference. And I get this part of it too. As a team, we got to give people something to cheer about. No one's going to be going crazy if we're 3 and out, So we got to. The team has to do their part as well. But when the opportunity comes about, we need to be loud and make a difference in the game.
All right, we asked some people on social media, what are some of the questions that you would like to ask Coach Stoops? And one of them had to do with the disrespect that people feel like the program is getting and the Team 130 is getting around the country. You like to say it, play matters. Saturday night, they can make a statement, not just for the SEC, but for the world to see how good this team is.
Yeah, that's true. We've got to back it up. But, you look at it, we're in our Hall of Fame area, in our trophy room, and there's a lot here. There's a lot of championships and Heisman winners and every national award winner there is. But, this year we've got to go prove it. Again, we got to go out and make it happen. No one's worked harder than this team, Coach Venables and his staff. So I believe we'll be ready, and I'm anxious to see how we do.
And for people that are new to Sooner Nation, no one has won more conference championships, 50, than Oklahoma. No one has more 11-win seasons than Oklahoma, not to mention all of the other things that the Sooners have been able to do. So let's talk about this game, and I think one of the key factors is personnel, right? The coaches can call plays, but it's all about the personnel, and the Sooners are going to get a lot of key playmakers back this Saturday night.
Yeah, hopefully that's the case, and hopefully they could stay on the field. It's not making excuses. It's being realistic in the first few games. When you're playing without guys that are starters for a reason. They're the best players at that position. It's going to affect you some. Hopefully getting more of these guys back will make a difference. I believe it will, and hopefully we could keep them on the field.
Yeah, Nick Anderson expected to be back, and I'm just going to read what the University of Oklahoma said was probable players this week. Nick Anderson, Andrell and Anthony, Dolby, and Everett all expected to return. That's not just one player. That's a handful of difference makers for the Sooners.
Definitely is. And, there's great personnel for Tennessee, and we've got to match it with our best players and believe we will. So I'm excited to see it.
All right, keys to this ball game, plain and simple. You've talked about it over and over, Coach. You cannot turn the ball over, and you've got to make the most of each and every possession. And if you can get the turnovers, it's an automatic advantage for your team.
Yeah, turnovers, third downs. That's how you stay on the field offensively, picking up third downs, and defensively, getting off the field, getting them off rhythm, come up with a sack or a lost yardage play, a turnover, 3 and out. Those kind of things all matter.
Yeah, and again, if Nick Anderson is back on the field, ask Texas how dangerous of a weapon that will be for the OU offense. Let's talk about the line of scrimmage. A lot has been said of the OU defensive line this year, that they're a lot deeper, a lot more physical, a lot more pressure. We saw the sack for the safety. to end the football game a couple weeks ago. The offensive line, on the other hand, has been bulletin board. They have been the target for a lot of people, been saying they're not physical, they're soft, they're not athletic, they're not strong. They're hearing that noise.
Yeah, and hopefully, now fourth game into it, that they're a little more accomplished, a little more in rhythm together and what they're doing and picking up stunts and, and how they communicate. It all makes a big difference. And then defensive line, you're right. We've been really strong against the run game, getting sacks, getting pressure, and we're going to need to do that.
All right, let's talk about quarterback play. Nico, of course, a very special player. He's been on fire. He hasn't had the opportunity to play a full game because Tennessee has literally blown out every opponent that they have played. Jackson Arnold, on the other hand, it's almost a tale of two tapes. He's had consistent play in some places, been explosive in others, and other times he's made some poor decisions.
Yeah, that's their quarterback, strong, big guy, can run, throw the football. He is young, so hopefully, again, with crowd noise away from home, it'll make a difference, and hopefully we can affect him to some degree. And then Jackson Arnold, yes, he showed great improvement in the third game, and we're going to need it again this week. Whether it's more connections, more people open with Nick Anderson being on the field, those kind of things will matter. But you got to protect them, and guys got to get some separation where he can get the ball to him.
And I think in private business, in any job, you talk about experience being the most valuable asset in a hiring process. For a quarterback, that goes a long way. And Jackson Arnold faced adversity. After throwing that interception for a touchdown, he came back, he made a valuable, most important play on third down where he took the ball into the end zone to give OU the lead for good. Those are the things that help you in big games like this.
Yeah, definitely. You grow with every game when you're a young quarterback. High school's different. The speed is different here. Everything about it's different. So I still believe the bowl game, he grew from that. And then each of these other three games, he's made improvement. He's learning. He's gaining that experience. And that's going to make a difference. And hopefully here into the fourth game against a really good team, it'll show up.
We talked about the defense experience for Oklahoma. There's also inexperience on the defensive side for Tennessee, especially in the secondary where they replaced more than 100 starts, but they have not been tested. They have not seen the deep ball. Obviously, Gatorade National Player of the Year in high school, Jackson Arnold, throws a great deep ball. We haven't seen much of it so far this year. Probably we're going to see a lot more of it Saturday night.
Well, we're going to need to. We're not going to be able to just mush the ball down the field on these, on these guys. They've got a really strong defensive line, so we're a little inexperienced in the O-line. So we got to give them enough time, and we got to get some separation downfield and come up with some big chunks, some big plays, and that'll make a big difference. A little bit of run game sets up the play action where you get deeper throws on first and second down. Maybe we've been keeping those under the vest a little bit. And hopefully we'll bring them out and make some big plays.
And I guess one of the best kept secrets, this guy loves Josh Heupel, who is the head coach of the Tennessee Volunteers. You called on the fans to really give him a standing ovation to welcome him home. How special is it to see a national champion like Josh come home?
Yeah, great. Regardless of our differences or, the situation, 10 years ago. But the bottom line, he jump-started this program, my era. In 99 and then 2000 going undefeated, and the people here know that, and he should be welcomed always here, and believe our fans will recognize that. But when they take the field, we need to be loud against their quarterback and their offense, but by all means Josh should be welcomed.
All right, let's get to the pick. The Oklahoma Sooners, for the first time as a ranked team since 1978, are an underdog by more than 4 points at home. It's actually 7.5 points according to Caesars Sportsbook right now. Your thoughts on this game? Will the Sooners win at home?
Well, of course. That's where I'm at with it, in a tight game. We'll be ready for that. I know these guys, these players have heard this all week, all summer, leading up to this game. Coaching staff has heard it, and this is a prideful program. So, I believe they'll respond to that.
Yeah, I think history repeats itself. I think you see last year the University of Texas was favored by 8 points against Oklahoma in the Cotton Bowl. They had gone and beaten Alabama. All this expectation around the country was that Oklahoma would not show up. Remember, they lost 2 regular season games by a combined 7 points last year. They return a lot of players. They've improved a lot. They're getting a lot of players back. It's home, and those players are being told, you're not good enough. you're not strong enough, you're not fast enough, you're not SEC ready. The time is now to show them why they went to Oklahoma.
Definitely, and there's no way that they don't hear some of it. I know guys aren't listening to the radio, they don't listen to a lot of it, but it doesn't take much of it, to know, what the vibe is.
College game day is going to be here. I love Oklahoma and the points in this, but it is not the only big game on Saturday. You've got Utah at Oklahoma State. Mike Gundy's squad is favored by 2.5 points against Utah. A lot of talent, a lot of question on whether Cam Rising is going to be playing for Utah, but you got to like a lot of what you've seen so far in Oklahoma State.
Definitely. They got a lot of guys back. They love the run game with Ollie Gordon. Their quarterback's playing well. Got experience back at receiver. All of that. And being at home, I'd go with Oklahoma State to cover that.
And I think still question marks on personnel do matter when it comes to Utah. I think if the game was in Utah, I would like Utah a lot in that one. But I think Oklahoma State showed us a lot against Arkansas and the way they played against Tulsa last week.
As well as the heat. It's going to be a hot day.
Yes.
You don't get that up in, at least I don't believe so, in Utah, the way it's going to be on the field on that turf. Saturday, it's supposed to be, in the high 90s. That's going to make a difference.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great game again for college football fans to watch. All right, Illinois is ranked, and so is Nebraska. It's been a while since both of those teams have been ranked in the top 25. Illinois is traveling to Nebraska. Nebraska favored by 7.5 points.
Yeah, I'd go with Nebraska. Being at home, the little bit of a resurgence. They got to feed off of that. That's a prideful program with a big history. So I think they'll keep responding to that.
I love their quarterback play. When you've got a quarterback that can get in the tight windows, the offensive line is playing really well. Nebraska looks like a completely different team this year. I love Nebraska at home. All right, our next game in the U Pick'em, USC at defending national champion Michigan. USC favored by 7. When you look at this game on paper, it looks like it favors USC in a big way.
Yeah, I love Sharon Moore. Played here at OU, a great guy. Love it that he has that head coaching job, but they've struggled a little bit here early in the year. USC has not. And to me, a big difference in the game is the quarterbacks. Michigan's haven't looked good. USC's has, and I think that's a big difference in this game. It always is.
Yeah, and going back to that experience that USC already had with a big game against LSU in a neutral field environment, I think they're going to play really, really well. And it goes back to what you said. You've got to have playmakers in big games. And unfortunately, at the quarterback position, so far, we have not seen that from Michigan. Now, we did get some viewer feedback. They wanted to get your thoughts on Sharon Moore having the head job at Michigan.
I love it. He's done an incredible job there at Michigan with Jim Harbaugh being the offensive coordinator. Their offenses have been really good, the last many years, running, throwing, play action against everybody. So I felt that was the right choice. And, I wish them the best. I want them to be there a long time. And, right now it looks to me they're just struggling at quarterback. And when that happens, it's going to be tough for you.
Yeah, it's hard. Think about Nebraska last year and thinking about Nebraska this year, just with the change of quarterback play. All right, now back to the Big 12. You've got 2 undefeateds meeting on the gridiron on Saturday in Kansas State and BYU. Actually, I think that game may be on Friday. Kansas State at BYU. Kansas State favored by 6.5.
Yeah, I like Kansas State. I just think they're, Coach Kleiman does an incredible job there, and they're not fazed by much, and like the way they're playing so far, their quarterback play. They lose Will Howard, goes to Ohio State, and this guy's playing great, every bit as good or better. So. Anyway, because of that, I like Kansas State.
Yeah, and I loved what they showed me in the Tulane game. Those first 2 quarters, they didn't play very well. They came together. They didn't lose their poise. They came back and won on the road. Shows a lot about a program. And because of the 12-team playoff, this is one of those games, college football fans, you need to watch because BYU's undefeated, Kansas State's undefeated. One of these teams could come out of the Big 12.
Yeah, absolutely. All of these games are important. Now, when you've got a 12-team playoff, you can lose 1 or 2, but not more. Especially, I think in the Big 12, losing more than 1, you're going to have a hard time getting in.
All right, a fun game that's going to be watching by a lot of SEC fans. Arkansas at Auburn. Auburn is favored by 3 points. A battle between 2-1 teams. Auburn has made a change at quarterback, and quite a big change. The new quarterback threw for 4 touchdowns last week.
I go with the new quarterback.
Yeah,
that's at Auburn. Yeah, and it's at Auburn, right?
Yes.
yeah, then I believe that's going to make a difference for them. And Auburn is not an easy place to play.
No, and I just love Auburn. I just think that they have got a good football team. I think they play sound football. What they were missing was quarterback play. And now with making a change at quarterback, I think they've got that. And Arkansas, let's be honest, the last 2 weeks, they have not been very impressive.
No, not at all. And we keep saying it. The quarterback difference is always it's a big factor in the NFL. It's a big factor in college. Whoever has a better quarterback, there's a pretty decent edge there.
Yeah, and 2 of the top 3 quarterbacks from just a few years ago in recruiting are going to be here Saturday night facing off against each other, 2 5-stars, and Nico versus Jackson Arnold. Who's the better quarterback? It might go a long way in deciding who has the better team. We'll find out Saturday night. Of course, game day will be here. It'll be the ABC primetime game of the week as undefeated Tennessee, the number 6 team in the country, travels here to Norman to take on number 15 Oklahoma. It's going to be a lot of fun. For Coach Stoops, I'm Brad McMullen saying enjoy the games this weekend and Boomer Sooner, everyone.
Boomer.